How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And I appreciate you taking your time watching today's video. And also I appreciate everybody that supports the channel. We had a Supreme Court Second Amendment setback today. There was a case called Paris versus Lara. And the Third Circuit Court ruled that young adults under the age of 21 can openly carry during a state of emergency. And the Pennsylvania law that stopped them from doing so violated their Second Amendment rights. But today the Supreme Court vacated that decision of the Third Circuit Court. The state of Pennsylvania asked the Supreme Court to review that decision. Pennsylvania argued that the Third Circuit Court made an error by not looking at several 19th century statutes that restricted the ability of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to acquire firearms. The Third Circuit used the 2022 Supreme Court decision in the case New York Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin. And the court ruled that the Pennsylvania law was unconstitutional because there was no similar law. At the time the Second Amendment was ratified, but the lawyers for the state of Pennsylvania argued that the lower federal court overread the Bruin decision. Several of the judges said the court's decision said nothing about who may possess a firearm or the requirements that must be met to buy one. The Supreme Court justices, without explanation or dissent, granted the state's cert request, but then they vacated the Third Court's decision and then sent the case back to the appellate court for further review. But the Supreme Court didn't address the state of Pennsylvania's arguments. So of course sending the case back to the Third Circuit Court is not good news for the Second Amendment. But also it doesn't mean the court is going to reverse their original decision. The best case scenario would have been that the Supreme Court reject Pennsylvania's arguments, which would have left in place the decision made by the Third Circuit. So basically the Supreme Court sent it back to the Third Circuit Court for what you might call a do-over. They punted it back to them. It's not known whether the Supreme Court justices had an issue with the lower court's decision or how they reached their conclusion to begin with. So the big thing for the state of Pennsylvania is how they're going to defend this law to the Third Circuit Court again, prohibiting an entire class of adults from exercising their Second Amendment rights is absolutely freaking ridiculous. If at 18 you can join the military and carry an AR-15 into battle and use other firearms and destructive devices, you sure as hell should be able to carry a firearm. And the Pennsylvania Attorney General is definitely going to have a hard time again defending the state's carry ban on adults that are 18, 19, and 20 years old. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Do you think once this goes back to the Third Circuit Court that they will keep their decision and allow the young adults to still carry? Or do you think it will get overturned? And also, do you think that young adults 18, 19, and 20 years old should be able to carry a firearm if they purchase one and pass the background check? And as always, I appreciate everybody that supports the channel. You guys are always crushing it by liking, sharing, and subscribing and hitting those post notifications. And I'm very grateful that you do so because it helps the channel out a lot. And I invite you to come back and watch my next video.